I have a super fun holiday movie that I really want you to watch. And it doesn't have to be around the holiday. You can watch it anytime, but it's what we watch. We watch it every Thanksgiving weekend here in the States. But again, you can watch it anytime. It's an amazing movie. It's called Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Now, I will say, do yourself a favor. Don't watch it on Thanksgiving. Well, for one thing, there's usually food, football, things like that. Don't watch that one on Thanksgiving Day because the streaming platforms are going to try to charge you. They will. They'll try to charge you $10 for it. By the way, the movie's in 1987. Is it really worth $10? I mean, I think it is, but it's 1987. John Hughes, right? And John Hughes did things like Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, like all of those sort of nostalgic movies, right? Remember I did the little video yesterday on nostalgia and I was thinking about this. So I always say watch it Friday or Saturday because usually by then it won't cost any money and you can watch it. But it is such a good movie. And the ending really ties into a lot about what I talk about, like don't judge a book by its cover, getting out of your ego, stop expecting things from people, because the storyline, it's not giving anything away. And it's from 1987. So if I'm dropping storylines on you, I mean, whoa, I'm not spoiling anything, right? But it's so cute because Steve Martin and John Candy are in it. And I love John Candy so much. I mean, he was such a good actor. And, I love Steve Martin. And if you haven't seen Only Murders in the Building, oh my God, you got to see it. It is so good. But anyway, so he plays this guy, Neil, and he's like, he's all stuffy and he's like, he's a business guy, right? And he's trying to get home for the holiday and his flight gets canceled and the weather is bad and all these things. And he's so mad, like he has zero emotional regulation. So if you're like, I struggle with emotional regulation. Oh, you're going to be Neil, right? And along his journey, just in the beginning, and it goes throughout the movie, he runs into Dell. Now, Dell is John Candy, and Dell has his little briefcase, his little suitcase, and he's going in the same direction. He happens to be going in the same direction. It is so funny because Dell is just super laid back, cool, fun, chill, and Neil is not. And it's really cool how they sort of bridge that relationship. And then the ending is really a really good, heartfelt ending. And so I really encourage you to watch it, right? Because, we talk a lot about self-help and healing and blah, 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 and everything can be a teachable moment, right? But this healing journey is exhausting, right? There's always so much. There's so much to think about and to do and restructure and like, oh my God, what's wrong? And like you're thinking, so every now and again, you just want to sit back and you just want to watch a movie. And nostalgia, like I was saying in yesterday's video, nostalgia is proven to give you senses of joy and things to think about. And sometimes it's good to just escape. That's why a lot of people will play video games. That's why I crochet. There's a mental escape, not escape like avoidance, but just a minute. Like you need a breather, right? Like if you were an ultra marathon runner, you're not running marathons every day. You're not. And after a race, like you have a time off. Like you have a little bit of a time off where you're just relaxing, you're carbing up, you're doing all of those things, because no matter where you are in your journey and where you are in your life, growing a business, healing yourself, working on a relationship, whatever, you're writing a book, it's exhausting at times, right? And it doesn't matter how you feel about it. You're still going to do those things because they're good for you, but it's so good to give yourself a break. And it's so funny. And it's really funny, especially if you're more type A and you find yourself with this emotional dysregulation where you're always snappy and stuff like that. If you can't poke fun of yourself, right? Seriously, if you can't say, oh my God, I'm so type A. Like if you can't make fun of yourself, that's already a problem. And this movie helps you do that, right? Because of course it's over exaggerated, right? It's so over exaggerated, but that's what makes it so funny. And it is funny, right? It is hilarious. And you're able to see it and you're like, oh my God, I would probably have reacted that same way. Now, I don't know that I would have ever reacted like Steve Martin or Neil, but maybe back in the day, like in my late teens, maybe. But I was always more of a Dell kind of person. But it's really great if you watch it. Again, it's called Planes, Trains, and Automobiles by John Hughes. And I got to tell you, it doesn't matter your age. You could be 20, you could be 90. You will get something out of this movie. It is funny. It is enjoyable, especially now. The cool thing with Steve Martin is Steve Martin's icon, right? John Candy would have been too. Steve Martin is such an icon, and he has developed a new audience, right? So even if you're 23, 24, and you've seen Only Murders in the Building, which, oh my God, go watch that immediately. Love it so much. You've kind of become comfortable with him. You kind of know who he is. But his acting chops are spectacular. That's why he's such an icon. I mean, he has done so many amazing movies, and this will be one that you can just add to your into your little, hey, this is what we watch every year. And but yeah, because there's a lot that you need to kind of make sure that you're taking care of, and it's your mental health. And so you know, I encourage you to watch it. And something that I think that you'll also get from Del's character, right? You know how we keep a lot of things closeted to the vest, right? And by the way, you have to. Everybody doesn't need to know everything. Everything doesn't need to be a Facebook post, right? You see that in Facebook world. But because you'll see in this movie, there's a lot of presumptuousness, right? There's a lot of attachment from Del. So you're going to see a couple things in this movie. You're going to see attachment issues from Del. You're going to see a little bit of people pleasing from Del, a little bit. You're going to see avoidance, right? So you're going to see a little bit of anxiousness, and you're going to see a little bit of avoidance on what you'll figure out at the end, and what you see how the ending of the movie is. And I think you'll relate to both of the characters really well. And I mean, there's such a good supporting cast, like, and you'll recognize a lot of people in movies. You know, it's really funny how you do that. You go back and you look at movies you've seen, you're like, oh my God, all those people were in, like, St. Elmo's Fire. I know I'm dating myself. St. Elmo's Fire, you had like Rob Lowe, you had Demi Moore, you had like you just look and you're like, oh my God, there was like a whole cast of stars that came out there. But I really want you to watch it because it's fun, it's funny. It doesn't have to be a total self-help kind of movie, but I just want you to observe it. And one good thing, and this is going to be a little bit of a homework assignment for you, and I really want to know in the comments if you've done it after you watch it. Ask yourself how you relate to both of those characters, right? It doesn't have to be either or. And that's another thing that we do in life, and that's something that I work with my clients on. There's 100 million shades of gray. Let's just not say, well, I'm all this character or I'm all that character. You can be a little bit of everything. And I think that's this big problem, I think, that we have when we're trying to heal too, is we're always trying to define something as like, it's this way. Well, you can be an ambivert. Like, you can be an extroverted introvert, and you can be an introverted extrovert. Like, you really can, right? You can do two things at one time. You can be happy about something, but sort of disappointed that it worked in a different way, but you're still happy about it. And I think one thing that you will battle with yourself with constantly is going, well, I have to be this way. When I'm healing and I'm on this healing journey and I feel good, I have to be this way. Well, that's very, very 2D, right? That's very 1983 Atari type video graphics, not 2023, like virtualistically real, right? And so a lot of times when you're putting on that lens, so it'll give you an opportunity to say, yeah, I got a little bit of him, a little bit of Neil this way, got a little bit of Del this way. And then it gives you a point of reference. And another assignment is, if you find yourself judging yourself or getting defensive about, like, well, yeah, well, I would be mad too. And okay, it's a movie, number one. Those things can happen. But why are you getting so defensive? So if you find yourself taking yourself too serious and trying to make excuses for your behavior, and that's just how I am, and that's how I was raised, calm down. All right. And so it's fun. So I think this movie can be enjoyable. We watch it every single year and we laugh just as hard. We know exactly what's happening, yet it's still just as funny as it was the first time. And that's how you know that, you know, it's a good movie. So again, planes, trains, and automobiles. Love to know what your feedback is. Wait till after Thanksgiving when it's free.